Well, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is D.H. Thorne. I'm here with Wayland, Sorsha, Kane, and Starlotta. This is Dark Sorcery and From the Ashes Publishing coming together tonight to just talk about random occult, random, magic and whatever comes up. So who wants to start us off? Who wants to say hello first? I love it. So we don't really have like too much of a topic in mind tonight. We were just kind of shoot the shit, see where it goes. Pardon my language a little bit, but we were going to bring up some topics about divination and things like that because we have a new member in From the Ashes. So that's our friend Starlotta there. I think I'm gonna blow her up a little bit. There we go. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, how you doing?
Okay, good. And Behemoth X is in the audience. We have Ethan. We have Soye Denouy and Hecte Nightwolf and some other people I've seen before. I think and Ethan Ross, of course. Our buddies are always here. Lolana Sign. I don't recognize the name, but hello. It's pleasant to have you here. So Wayland and I are usually the chatterboxes, but I think he and I are both I'm definitely exhausted and tired. So between the workload that I have going on in my day job and everything else, and Wayland just got home from doing things, I believe he was saying. So what do you think we should start off tonight with? What do you want to talk about? We were actually starting to talk about the substance I was concocting for dream vision, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of interesting because that does kind of lead into divination a bit and dream interpretation and that what goes with that. So yeah, what do you got there?
Well, I've been just started to experiment with a combination of different herbs together, and it's mostly it's 40% mugwort and 50% mullein, or I never say that right. Mullein. I guess that's how you say it. And 10% peppermint to cut it. Now you can either make a tea out of it or you can smoke it. I've tried smoking it, mostly just puffing on it, and it really numbs your lips out. I've also done mugwort under my tongue. I did that last night for a little bit before bed, and that led to some interesting experiences, which I actually messaged Kane about today.
Yes.
But that's got to stay on the back burner a little bit longer because I don't like to show too much of that. But anyway, mugwort, for those of you who don't know, is the primary active ingredient in that concoction. And what that really does is it kind of gives you a very calming effect. And I agree with Behemoth, tea all the way, because when I smoke it in a pipe, it's just nasty. Especially if you don't have a good filter, it's just even with the peppermint, it's still just it's like ashtray stuff. It's not really into it anymore. Maybe 20 years ago I would have like puffing away on it all day, but not now. But it gives you a very nice calming effect. It'll definitely soothe you. Even like put a little bit under your tongue. It tastes disgusting, but you'll get used to it, and you'll just mellow out. You can make a pillow out of it. Like you take a pillow and you stuff it in the pillow, and it will give you very vivid dreams. You'll have really vivid, lucid dreams. So it's very effective stuff. And I wouldn't do it every day. This is the kind of thing you would do maybe twice a week. You don't want to take too much of it because it can mess your liver up, from what I understand. Although I don't believe it does. But why take it? And of course, I'm not advocating anyone try any kind of strange drugs or smoking anything. By the way, it's just a thing that I've done, and if you're interested, that's what I've been working on lately. So
none of it's illegal per se, anyway.
No, it's all legal substances. I mean, your miles may vary about what you put in it, but I would keep it. It would keep it legal just because of obvious reasons. So it's effective by itself. It's not like you're going to get high. It's a very mild sedative, and it actually will interfere with your sleep a little bit. I think the reason you get lucid dreams is because it keeps you a little bit awake. In other words, when you're sleeping, you're not fully down. So don't do it on a day when you got to have a good night's sleep, I would probably suggest.
So, I mean,
a little bit
you had done a little bit of this last night. Can you share any kind of, maybe not necessarily going into the details you went into earlier, but kind of what you experienced, if you will?
Well, mainly, I have a little bit of trouble dreaming just because I have sleep apnea. So I dream, but I don't remember them very well because I don't hit that state very often.
Likewise.
What will happen is, in order for me to really get a good dream, I have to sleep in the right position or do something like that. And last night, it was mainly flashes, and I had flashes of a new spiritual technology that I'm working on, for the next book that I'm writing, what's going to be in that, because I'll give you the whole story. I mean, I don't mind telling this part. Last night I was looking through my notes just before bed, my notes that I'd taken when I was doing my 30-day working with Azazel, and I was kind of avoiding a couple of pages of it because it was difficult content. It was things that I wasn't really ready to deal with, and for multiple reasons. And Waylon knows a little bit about it. I talked to him about it a little bit, and you know a little bit about it. Sure. And so I opened up the book to this page, and just as I did that, there was a clap of thunder, and the house shook from the thunder, and it was kind of corny, like almost like like a vampire movie, like like whoa.
Right.
But it was very synchronistic, and I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at my notes, and they're making better sense now. And I'm like, okay, the spirits that I'm working with, that this deals with, I don't want to say they're new spirits, but I think it's going to become hopefully a new kind of path working for people. It's definitely dangerous, but I had called on those spirits that I used to work with, and I asked them to send me visions and to communicate with me in my sleep tonight, preferably, to try to help me understand what I was looking at and to maybe put it into a working system. And of course, lo and behold, that night last night, I had these moments, these flashes in the dream. I sort of visualized the ritual setup that I'm going to probably experiment with in better detail than ever before. I got some new ideas.
Awesome.
And some sigils that are going to be relevant, some names that are relevant. And I started experimenting with them on what little free time I did have at work. And I just kept drawing similar. It's almost like you've ever seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where he's making the Devil's Tower over and over, kind of like that. And I'm just playing with it over and over. And this is what happens, like when you start working with a spirit. A lot of the times, they will, you'll just become obsessed with trying to you're inspired to just create something that looks this way.
Well, yeah.
What about
I mean, that's how it is with me. I mean, it's like, when I was working with Smokeless Fire, it's like I start seeing rough designs of triangles, different geometric shapes, and it starts to just kind of process over like several days until I finally just have to get it down on paper, and then once it's down there, it really starts taking form and taking off. But there's definitely that initial, almost, if you will, transmission, that kind of that seed that kind of gets planted and before it gets taken off.
Absolutely. I mean, let's not forget, a lot of these, they're demonic forces in a lot of cases. So they're spirits that give you inspiration. A lot of people don't realize, like, even when I'm in direct communication with a spirit, a lot of the times it's just brief pulses of knowledge or visions or something.
Yes.
It's not always like we're talking, although sometimes it is. Most of the time it's not. And sometimes all it is you ask them for something, and then lo and behold, over the next few days, you're just inspired and you're just cranking stuff out, and you have to trust the process.
Yeah.
You have to trust the process. Like, a lot of people say, well, like one person had asked me, you're speaking to a spirit. Why can't you ask them what their origin is? Why can't you ask them? Well, number one, they got to be willing to tell you. And number two, they don't always communicate in such a direct manner. Sometimes they just communicate in inspiration or in, YouTube links that'll just pop up on your screen that, like, recommended videos, strange stuff like that.
I mean, I understand mostly with me, like, as you said, it's not a whole conversation like this. It is often a phrase, several phrases, but mostly visions of things, feelings, emotions, that is transmitted through, that is interpreted within the work. So yeah, it's not a normal conversation, and that makes sense. We're dealing with non-human entities, so it is not something that's a normal conversation you'd have with people. That kind of contact is really interesting. Once you just open yourself up to it, a lot of people doubt themselves, like, oh, I'm imagining this, or this isn't real. I always say, suspend belief or disbelief and just experience, and as you said, work through that process.
Yeah, I kind of go ahead, Waylon.
I like what Kane's saying. It's like, for example, last night, first time since my surgery, I actually did a full-blown ritual, and it was really cool because I did one of the Sephirans, and there was really no material in the book that I'm working through to work with it, and I was just like, I'm gonna wing it. I'm just going to see what happens, see how the spirit appears, so forth and so on. And the power was there, the presence was there, and the spirit came real quickly, all this other stuff. Well, during the ritual, everything that was supposed to happen happened. After the ritual and everything else, when I start to dial it down, when my body's energy start to settle, as the night progresses or whatever, and you're getting closer to the so-called bedtime, or the time when your body's trying to shut down, then all of a sudden it's like this knowledge just comes pouring through, and it's not because I haven't learned how to disconnect, because I can summon a spirit, release the spirit, and ground how. I think they use the term grounding, whether it's eating something, drinking something, changing subjects, putting your mind somewhere else, doing all this, that, and the other. And well, I can do that just fine. And 3 or 4 freaking hours later, I'm sitting there, and this being is sitting there, talking to me, throwing symbols up, all this stuff. And one of the I literally, after the ritual, I had to go online and look up, all that I could, and I had to go with V.K. Johannem's blog post concerning Sephiroth. I was like, holy crap, that's the same thing Sephiroth was telling me during the ritual that I was working. And so it was kind of cool to see somebody who wrote that. At the same time, I felt like an idiot, because I'm like, holy crap, this guy's got all this information. I should have went and read that beforehand. But the thing about it is that sometimes, even when we put off, researching, sometimes a pure, unadulterated experience with any entity, with any spirit, just use its name, and your intent of wanting to communicate with it is usually the best and the strongest. A lot of the times, you said that you have problems dreaming because of sleep apnea. Well, I have a sleep disorder, and they're thinking I have sleep apnea. Here's the problem. I dream just fine. But what happens with me is that sometimes I can control it. Sometimes I can cause myself to what I call a dreamscape, which is where your ritual, you're consciously directing your dreams.
Lucid dreaming.
Yeah. And then sometimes it's just out of my control, and I'm just being led by the hand, so to speak, and spirit's telling me things, showing me things, go to weird places, and I'm sitting there going, what the hell is this? Because it doesn't make any sense what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing. And then later on I wake up and I have to have to figure out, was that my imagination based on, was I watching something, was I reading something, because you have to take into account every little detail of your day-to-day life, because it does influence the dreams.
Well, there's Freudian psychology behind dreams, and there's Jung psychology. There's 2 different perspectives, and the one would say that your dreams are programmed by your day, and the other would say that your dreams are not programmed by your day so much as by your shadow self, or by whatever.
Subconscious.
Yeah, your subconscious. Now, Jung was all about the shadow side, the shadow self. And so his perspective would be that everything you're seeing, it can, of course, have to do with your day, but a lot of times it's your shadow self communicating with you, and there's imagery and thoughts and things that come through there. And I'm personally more of a fan of Jung, of course, because I think he's more compatible with what we do as a practice.
Right.
His name is Carl Gustav Jung.
And Star Wars came out of his ideology. I mean, come on, man. Everything. May the 4th. May the 4th. Am I the only one?
I was actually watching Star Wars last night, so
I think we're going to get struck because we said Star Wars.
It's interesting, though, that a lot of people don't take into consideration when you're working with spirits. It's almost, people think it's mechanical. You put your circle out, you put your triangle out, you light your candles, you say the invocation, this happens, that happens. And when it doesn't happen, they ask, well, why didn't the spirit do this? Why didn't the spirit manifest? Why didn't this occur? There's a really, really big part of this situation of maybe the spirit doesn't want to, and that's something that people just seem to not to grasp, that you're dealing with a free-willed entity that can choose to manifest any way it wants to, or not to at all. I've had experiments or operations or ritual, whatever you'd like to call it, where I've done a whole ritual and I have felt nothing. I'm thinking, well, the ritual, hasn't worked. The spirit hasn't shown up. But I like to finish things out. And sure enough, regardless, the result will still occur. So,
always finish.
You're right. It's very very misleading in the way that it's so mechanical. There's a very analog and natural organic situation that you're dealing with. You're dealing with an entity. You're dealing with something that's not a machine. This isn't something that's step 1, step 2, step 3. There is a variation there that a lot of people in magic don't really think about. It's not written about in a lot of books, and it's something that really I think needs to be put into the equation a little bit more, or talked about a little bit more. This isn't just a machine. There's an actual consciousness that you're interfacing with that has choice.
That's a very good. I think that's a good topic too.
I want to comment on that though. Okay, so in your book, the Black Book of Azathoth, I did the Haunter of the Dark ritual, and at first, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what would happen.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I know better than to be afraid or to be apprehensive or any of these other emotional energies to be in its presence. So I'm just like, I'm just going to summon this. I'm going to see where this goes. Well, you could feel this oppressive presence, and it was almost as if it got darker than dark outside. It was really weird. It was just out my back door. And it was like all of a sudden the street lights went out and it just got darker, within this small area. And I was like, holy crap. And I couldn't get it to communicate. I even had an animalistic point of view of, putting myself in the place of the spirit and looking upon myself to see, to make a connection, any kind of connection. And I was like, okay, doesn't want to communicate with me or whatever, so I finish out the rite, close it down and everything else, give the offering, and I'll let it go. Well, this spirit, despite me giving it license to depart, to go back to its realm, it decides to hang around for about 4 days. Didn't do anything, didn't destroy anything, didn't cause no malicious problems, nothing like that. But at the same time would not communicate at all. It was like it was trying to figure me out, or strange.
It's that particular entity is so incredibly powerful, so incredibly focused. Not something to take lightly when you go into that evocation. I know that when I was filming the Black Book of Azathoth video course, we gone into that particular current. EA Colliding and I we were there for a whole week doing 10 12-hour days working in this current. And when that occurred, he had an incredible experience. I had an incredible experience. That night later on, after I'd done the rite, I had actually had something with me. It was between a dream state, a waking and dream state, and there was definitely something there with me in the room. It was I have to say, almost terrifying in its own right, just because it was so alien feeling, and that's it's a whole other subject, but those particular entities have a different feel than what I consider earth plane entities, like goetic spirits or other kinds of entities in that regard. So
you can definitely feel the difference between different spirits. Like goetic spirits feel one way to me usually, in the beings from the Black Book of Azathoth feel utterly different from anything that I've ever worked with before.
Right.
And speaking of aliens, I actually had a dream the other night where like an alien was coming to take me out of my body. I probably should have, instead of resisting it, I probably should have let go with it and see where I went. But I think one of the things that like we touched on is important. Like someone had mentioned to me not long ago, maybe it was a couple months ago, really, why can't we force these spirits to do what we want? Like, why is it wrong to use the Solomon, methodology and banish them and threaten them and all this? And I said, well, besides the obvious reasons of
the obvious reason,
the obvious reasons that it's, if someone puts a gun to your head, it's still your choice whether you do what you're told, and forcing them doesn't actually make them do anything. You can compel them in that sense, but it doesn't really work the way you think it will. Just like if you put a gun to my head, I still have a choice to say, fuck you, and get shot in the head. I don't have to do what you tell me. And when people think of magic, at least evocation and invocation, as a mechanical process, they think that they can either hold a spiritual gun to the spirit's head, or that this is somehow, like you said, a machine where they pull the levers the right way and things will happen. I hate to break to people, but in some ways, the book that I have coming out, if you're just interested in working with spirits, is unnecessary, because you can just call to them. You can just talk to them. You don't have to do all this ritualized work to get them to communicate with you. You can literally, as long as you're sensitive, that's actually the hard part, is becoming sensitive. And becoming sensitive really revolves around accepting the events that are happening. So, for example, people expect a Hollywood sort of experience with spirits and magic.
Oh yeah.
It's never like that, really.
Yeah.
I mean, even when it is, it's not. Like even when it is,
Right.
if you had a team of scientists standing there at that moment, they could have debunked everything that was scary or everything that was cool. They could have figured out, oh, that was just that was just swamp gas. They would find a reason why it wasn't real. But just like that clap of thunder last night that happened with the book, that wasn't because I opened the book in the same way that, like, oh, it was just a fake, it was magic that caught. No, it was synchronistic, going back to Jung,
Absolutely.
back to, divination. And that's 90%, if not more, of 95% of what your magical experiences will be like. People will say, well, how come you can't do a spell to just make anything you want to happen? Because it doesn't work that way. The spirits have to be willing. Magic has to be willing.
Right.
It's more of like a performance that you do for yourself to connect with your subconscious.
We have somebody new with us here tonight. And this is
yes.
the first time I'm getting to meet her. I know the rest of you guys, but I really want to know a little bit about what she does and so forth and so on, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think that's
if it's
awesome.
Okay. No, it's not okay. Of course it's okay.
Well, From the Ashes Publishing is proud to, and honored more than anything to have Stella, part of the house, part of the family, if you will. She, we all do a little divination. I myself do a little bit of tarot work. I got to say that personally, I have had a reading from her, and it blows what I do completely out of the water. It's not even in the same category, not the same game at all. So, this is why, I thought that, she's a perfect fit for the house. She really does works in divination, works in crystal gazing, prophecy, if you will, a mystic of sorts. And, what I experienced with her reading, I've never had a reading like that before. It's been so incredibly detailed that I was like, she's got to be part of the house. It's just absolutely, no other way. But I was hoping anyway at the time. So I'm honored to hear her, or honored to have her here as part of the house. Sorry, go ahead.
I say thank you.
Of course. So, yes.
Okay, I'm making sure.
I'll stop talking.
Sterlot, it's okay. We know like you don't do a lot of video chats and social media, so don't worry about it. Just tell us whatever you want to talk about. And I'd like to know, like you had mentioned, or it's on your write-up, your bio, that you're a generational psychic or whatever. You've been doing this. I guess it's a family heritage thing for you. Were you able to elaborate on that a little bit? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I was gifted enough, to be exposed to a lot of it since I was younger. Talking very earlier, and like I think I had my first dreams. You were talking about dreams at age 2.5, where I woke up and I actually had a prediction. So it was when my grandmother was going to pass away. I was a talker since I was like 1.5 years in full sentences. So my parents don't understand exactly what I was saying. And like 2 days later, she passed away. Of course, I didn't know the part where she was sick and they did, but I didn't know. So then she passed. When I saw the prosecution, and everything of Price, and they took her into the casket, So that's why I predicted my dad's side, grandma.
Wow.
Yeah. So since then I encountered a gypsy in Mexico City, and my dad is like, "Go ahead, play with the gypsy," a full like a full library of books. My dad came from mystic stuff, magical things, very knowledgeable man. He was a professor, he's still a professor. And so I introduced myself to the gypsy. I was always very talkative. So she told me to study the palmistry. I started doing palmistry since then. And it was given to me. I was able to see people's picture. And all my friends would be like, at school, I was in pre-K, then kinder, and I was looking at their hands, and they're like, I'll give you, some money if you tell me I'm going to pass the test by 5th grade, and stuff like that. So I grew up around the whole time. I was very popular for it. I wasn't isolated because of that. All my friends loved it, So then I had my first Spanish cards deck when I was like 11.
Mm.
My first spell, I think, was like 11 pots from a cigarette. I didn't smoke it or inhale it or anything like that. But, the person that had to do it, she did, and she was like, so I was like, go ahead for it, And then when you put like just cursing, whatever, it's always there's a spell, whatever. So I was putting stuff together since I was very young. I was a very, very strange kid, but a very accepted kid at the same time.
I think we can relate to that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of.
Yeah, so I was always like, okay, well, she knows, she knows, and she knows. Well, that's how I grew up, right? And I started collecting decks. So I became very, very, how do you say, knowledgeable. I had my dad's support, my mother's support. They always were there, and they're still there. Like, they're my biggest fans. And then I became, people consider me a master. I can master I know full on Omar, from any type of reading spread. I dedicated my life to do that, most of it. I knew how to do runes, I knew how to do pendulums, but I specialized on the tarot card readings. All type of decks. You got no no idea how many decks I have and how many exposure that I had since I was very young. So I became kind of famous around, famous people and things like that. I keep a secret, of course, as we all know, with certain clients. And they follow my advice. I have business people that follow my advice with the money tarot deck. There's so many different spreads. I have people that call me on a daily basis to ask how their, stock is going to be today or the market, going up and down, and they have all their faith in it. So that's majorly the part of my life that I actually spend 24/7 lately. So I've been working with Psychic Line for over 20 years. A lot of work. I have been invited to big events. I'm very connected to a lot of famous tarot deck makers, so I always surrounded myself into people that knew the knowledge, because I know everybody that tries to read cards, and no offense for people that are learning, but it does require, if you don't have the gift, a lot of learning, because people are putting their lives in your hands. Because you deal with titles to millionaires and all types of things. People with illnesses, people with cancer. You can't just because I saw that means that's gonna. You can't. It's too risky. Fake.
Right.
The cards can be wrong. You're the one that does the reading. Is that right?
And well, it's more like you have the option. I do your. Right. I'm telling you and giving you advice. Like if you had like a horrible life because you became an addicted person. Okay, you came out. So these are your options now. No, but nobody's gonna give me a job. No, you still have options. The only option you don't have is after you die. And you'll never know. You might,
Right.
But I'm saying there's never an end. We don't know if there's an end to everything, So you have plenty of options, and you have life right now. So take life as your biggest gift,
Right.
Choices that you have right here on this class, they're telling you. I'm not telling you. They are talking to you. They're talking to you, to me. And I just tell you, well, that one's telling you that you're not doing wrong in that part. You might want to work on it, otherwise you're going to end up like that. That's your outcome. If you do, then this is your outcome. Which one do you have?
Now, how do you feel about like oracle cards? Have you ever worked with any of those?
I have plenty of oracle cards.
Do you like them? Yeah.
Well, they're actually, I use them as to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
Oracle cards are very good and convenient when it comes to a big rating. And you use clarifying the suggestion. The suggestion is that maybe if you enhance your inner power, it's going to take you to this goal that you're trying to achieve within the next 6 months. I'm very accurate with cards, with numbers as well. Lenormand technique actually teaches you a lot about how to count numbers within your spirit and within yourself, and how to put it in as a prediction. But also, you have to understand the norm. Okay, I see you're gonna get some money within 2 weeks. Well, obviously, you get paid almost every 2 weeks, right? So that's common sense. I don't have to tell you that. But you know that money is coming. And I tell my clients, there are some things that are going to be common sense. Oh, it's going to be the, summer, like vacation delays, expect everything. Christmas, it's going to be, of course your family is going to be angry because you haven't seen them in 10 years. That's common sense. It's going to show up in your reading regardless. Now, how are you going to act with your mom? That's up to you. You know, But it's telling you that if you, I don't have to tell you how your mom is gonna act towards you. You know already.
Yeah, a lot of the times, like when I've done readings, and obviously I don't believe myself to be as skilled at it. I'm very empathic. I'm very good at at that kind of stuff. But to me, it's more like I use the cards as a guide, and I just kind of work through them. Now, someone had a question. What was the question here? Wayland, I think you spotted it. What was the question?
Panda Taylor.
Oh, okay.
What was the question?
Have you yeah. Have you used the Grand Atelier? I think that's how you say it. Atelier?
Oh, the Grand Atelier, the tarot deck. Yes, of course.
Okay.
I have it's like somewhere around here. This file.
Somewhere in here, yeah. I think we all have one of those.
Mine's right over there. You know.
You can see me looking at it whenever we're doing videos. I'm always like, oh, what have I got? Oh, look, I got this. Hey.
I just knocked all my herbs down because I was trying to reach them to actually show you one, which is myrrh. I use myrrh a lot, like to meditate and things like that. I think myrrh is one of the best herbs on earth. I mean, that you can mix, not as a drug, but I like them just to be burning or to, put. I don't inhale them like you.
Mm-hmm.
I put them under the tongue, but I mean, I just put them on the side,
So you're saying you burn mugwort as an incense, right? Is that what I heard you say?
And myrrh.
Yeah.
Myrrh and myrrh, MYRTH.
Oh yeah, myrrh, like frankincense and myrrh. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I use a lot of incense. My boxes behind me are full of incense and candles. I'm always like, I have backups. Okay, where's my candle? I have a candle over here, over there. I mean, there's a candle in the car. I can use it right now, So I mean, yeah, I'm practical.
I feel like a new age store because I have next to me, I have my chest of drawers, and I have, it's got to be close to 100 different incenses and herbs and things that I occasionally play with. It's like I love incense. Like I drive everybody crazy because it always stinks. Like I'm always.
So there's several.
Because I mean, they think, wow, your house smells so nice all the time.
It always smells, but it doesn't.
But yeah, no, I use all type of decks. I mean, you can ask right here a friend, about he came to do the card reading, and he can tell you about like all the decks. I have them like so unorganized. I'm supposed to buy shelves, but since they have been accumulating, it's kind of like I have this tower over here, then this tower over here, then this tower. Do you have that one ready? Oh yes, hold on, let me get it. Okay, I got this one.
Now you offer several different kinds of readings or spreads through the house. I think that what they are definitely directed a little bit more towards magic, if you will, even though, I personally believe working with tarot is a magical act in real time. That's why I love it. It's, you can't go wrong when you're in real time watching the story unfold in front of you. But you offer like Shadow Tarot, you offer Luciferian, also like Kabbalistic Tarot, working with some of the Solomonic seals. These things are really, really interesting.
So this is holistic right here, and this is the Solomon seal. It's in a white box. There's a purpose for that. Then I always have a Solomon candle with me. I believe in the power of Solomon. I mean, not the power, but I believe that it gives me energy. So it goes with money, power, and things like that. How you present yourself, how intense you can do a reading with someone that wants to know about power. Those are things that you go for. I have like very elegant, decks. You saw some of them that they go for different reasons and richness, Then I have the money deck. This one I get a lot for people that do stocks, or like when I do actually a reading online, a private reading on video, they love seeing the cards. It's one of the things that they enjoy the most because they're gold, first of all. So gold attracts gold. Then you burn a candle, you turn the incense. You do a whole session. It's like a show, you know what I'm saying? So you go through the cards, and you show them, and then you show the spread, and whatever. And then the shadows one is my shadows deck is one of those that is very, very different because it was one of the first editions. It's out of print, and also the only one that came with the original book. So it has some. You can see some on eBay or whatever for $65, but the one I have is a very particular one, which I think I have it over here somewhere around that. There you go. This is the book right here. So the new version comes with a gray flag. Okay, this is like a masterpiece that they wrote down together in Russia. The person, the lady that because it was a lady, the one that actually wrote this. She has different spreads that were only personalized on this one, which is the deluxe edition. They only sold like I don't know how many let's say copies, but not that many. And I was lucky that at that time someone was selling it, and he told me, "I'll give it to you." Nobody wants it; they think it's evil, whatever. I don't think I'm ever gonna sell it. And she has the little skulls right there. It's a very particular little pouch, pouch that came with it, all fake and everything. And the cards, more like I'm doing a promotion video. Yeah, for this.
I know they should be paying you right now. All these reviews.
For all the astrological things, right there. That's with the clubs, the ones, the swords. So this is like, for example, this is the correspondence of the cups. So this relates with the reading. If it's about I love reading, success, I hate reading. You can do spells with this thing. There's spells in this book. It's very interesting, And you have all the demons, the sins, the seven sins. Everything is within this. That way, if you do a spread of the mirrors, that one, for example, explain the situation of why and reflects of your near future. And then you have your cards where you answer your outcome, avoiding these certain demons or calling certain demons, depending on the situation. So it's a very different deck, So
Would you say that this was a direct connection with these spirits?
that you can do that. Actually, the book tells you to be careful if you're using it. Because,
Right.
Yeah, because if you don't know what demon that you're talking to, you don't know who you're gonna pick up, and you're not. It's not like you're asking them for permission. You're actually bothering them. They didn't for them ahead. They didn't prepare them, so it's not like here. I'm just gonna do it. No, you have to give them their nice candle and introduce them that they're gonna be part of the reading. Might sounds funny, but actually, she makes it sound like that. You can't just invite him and say, "Oh, okay, bye."
Like, thanks, bye, get out.
It's a whole ritual. Why do you think I don't go reading this like outside? Like they tell me, "Hey, are you gonna put us a bending? This thing." I go, "No, this thing belongs in my house only. This doesn't go."
I like to like invoke a spirit or call a spirit whenever I do a tarot reading. I very, even when it's just for myself, I always one of the ones I use the most is Malphus, and there's several others, but I always try to invoke a spirit that's close to me to help me with it, even though I'm pretty confident in my ability. It's that added little thing. I don't like to go blind, I guess you could say, into my reading. Do you do anything like that at all, or is it all from yourself? Like, how do you proceed when you do your own readings?
So you mean my own readings or readings for people?
Well, both. I mean, do you invoke spirits, or do you mainly just use your own intuition? How do you work with the cards?
I work with my intuition as well as if there's a divine forces around me that they can help, but I don't ask. It's a fact of like I'm doing my work. If you want to get something that is important, then I will say, what is it? Because I can feel it. I'm an empath. Yeah. So an empath can feel a demon or an angel, if you believe in angels, whatever inner power or outside power, whoever energy is coming in, I can feel it if it's good or bad.
Right.
I can even smell it. So,
is it just me, or is anybody else seeing orbs fly around here occasionally?
It might just be you, but I have it minimized so I can read the chat too. So
I've seen one or two. So I'm not sure if they are orbs or what they are. If you're looking at her, it's to the left behind her there. It's like they're coming towards those paintings or something. I have no idea what's going on.
I've seen it a couple of times. I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm just
Because I have people tell me that on my videos. But it might be the lighting. I always put everything real dark, even if it's daytime. I don't open the windows. When I'm doing readings, first of all, you can't really perceive the lights. As some of the protection of any bad energy is devil's root. Devil's root is helper for everything that is surrounding you. So I always burn devil's root. Devil's root it's not a bad smell, but it's a very, very good root that it cleans up here. Like the other night, I was doing the deck of the angels, and actually I did an open video. And I did the writing, the rapid writing, or I forgot the name of how you say it. And when the spirit, yeah, automatic, yeah, and I wrote it, and when I was blindfolded, of course, I put my blindfolded on my eyes, and I did the whole session in front of like 5 people, right? Because those were the only ones at 4:00 in the morning. So I did it, and when I did it twice, it told me to burn sage.
Mm-hmm.
And I put the paper, on my page, just that way people can say it says sage. And then I had my friend, I was watching, did you burn some sage? I go, I always burn sage. I don't know why he was telling me to burn sage, but and it was through the Ouija board, and then through the card, and then to the automatic writing. So it was combined. So I do sessions like that too. So if all the things are lining up to the sage, then I guess I have to burn more sage, So I mean, so I do believe in certain things that can be part of the negativity of people around, or things that are happening. I don't believe if storms have to do nothing with reading. Some people think that all the souls come down and it's not a good time to read cards, especially people that believe in Santeria. They don't read cards when it's raining at all or when it's cloudy. But you're supposed to respect the people walking around it or something like that. So I was like, no, I'm reading cards. they're already over there, They can be walking. They're always walking around.
Yeah.
So I can feel
There's something around.
Them. They can be right next to you, and I mean, I can have like a bunch of them right behind me. So you never know. There can be a bunch around behind all of you.
Yeah.
Especially since we're so connected with that type of magic or that type of.
We're all just like, I mean, I've done videos where I've done, rituals for people or for myself. And one of the interesting things that I get is like, it's technically a reflection on the camera lens. I don't want people to get the wrong impression. I'm a realist. And there will be a flashing, sparkling light on the camera. And what is interesting is it will always be in a place that is, I feel where the spirit is. And the incense smoke will often, especially if it's an offering, will flow towards that light almost every time.
Yeah.
And it's only happens when I have my cauldron fire going, really, really, really. But it's interesting because as much as these entities and things may be non-local, at the same time, our awareness of them is local. So we can tune into a specific place where they are. But I don't really think that they're just in that spot. You know what I mean? I think it's
It can be everywhere.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the main reasons why we employ working with especially like technology, working with some of the stuff that's presented in Smokeless Fire. While you're working with these angles, while you're working with these triangles, is to focus this energy and these spirits into a place that you are aware of.
Or to focus your awareness into them. Yeah.
Exactly.
I see earlier, I had the incense and it was going that way. And I have actually the air conditioner kind of off so that way it doesn't interfere with anything. Because I'm very aware when people are around me, like with people I see them in person, I don't want them to believe they're strange or anything like that. Especially because I do videos, So, like the incense was going that way and I was going this way, which is bothering me now, right? So,
yeah.
So it's like now it's time to.
You can see it behind me too. I mean, it'll float like it'll go to me when I have a spirit coming
over there. Kind of like that. But it's falling this way now, so it's kind of like yours is following you that way. So it's kind of like, and then I have this candle, so that way it keeps it away too. So that way, because you seen those videos where people are like, "Oh, I'm smoking the session now," they're like.
I find it like the incense goes a lot of the times where the attention of the spirit is. So when I'm doing or working, a lot of times once I'm like, when I get the chills and I feel the spirit is touching me and is going through my presence, suddenly the incense is like all in my face and I'm like, and it and then other times it'll play with the ashes of the incense. Like if I'm using stick incense, one time I had laid out for the familiar I was creating, I had laid out a set of sigils to represent different things that were going to be aspects of the familiar. And as I was reading them, I asked it to select the one that it was most important to it. And just to give me a sign somehow. And within a second, the ash fell right. I mean, it went like 6 inches away. It leapt off of it and landed right on the sigil. And I said, wow, that was cool. I mean, like things like that. That's the subtle reality of working with spirits and with these energies. It's not usually, like the incense took off and flew around. It's going to be more like, here's a little hint for you. And spiritual sensitivity is noticing those things and realizing that they're not just coincidences, that they're messages.
That flows in a lot with evocation, though. It's like you read some of the descriptions of what to expect, from the Goetia, and they have 30 legions before them playing trumpets, and there's thunder and lightning. I personally have never experienced anything like this. So people, they're looking to experience these things, or they're expecting these things, and they're missing the subtlety of the actual encounter. And that's what I tell people. It's like, look, that's great. That may have happened for whoever experienced that, but magic is yours. It's a very personal situation.
It's a personal thing.
You're right, and it's gonna come across through your filters, personal filters, in different ways. So don't look for a kangaroo when an elephant appears. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to see it.
Well, see,
don't expect what happened to me to happen to you. Like that was
right.
I mean, I couldn't predict that there was going to be a thunderclap when I opened that book. You know what I mean? And I couldn't predict that ash, and it probably will never happen that way again. And that's the beauty of it. Is like I said, it's such a personal experience. You have to be the one. You're the one who's experiencing it. The spirits are kind of like, you're missing so much. They're probably going, "Hey, buddy, hey," and you're just not. You'll catch
you're
one
looking
of
for something else.
Sometimes, and I was talking to another colleague, which he's actually a paranormal, and he's also at the same time mentalist, magician, everything. Okay, all those things together. But he says that one thing I know is that I learned how to live with spirits or the other forces, because once you learn how to live with them, you actually sometimes tell them, "Can you just move away a little bit?" Because they kind of get on your way and start, or either way, you miss them. Hey, where are they? That's the point. So. It happens to me a lot. Like everybody tells me, "How come you like to be alone all the time?" I go, "No, I'm not alone all the time. Who's making you think that I'm alone all the time? I have myself." But that's what I say, right? But I just feel like when I'm protected, I feel good. Now if I see something like a spark, like a line or something like that, I don't make anything out of it, because I'm like, "Oh, I saw it when I was little anyway." Kind of like I'm familiar with it, it's not new. It's not like, "Whoa, let me write it down and post it on Facebook." I saw a line today, and I don't know what it was. I wouldn't do it.
I think a lot of people. Yeah, go ahead, Waylon. I think we got to let Sorcerer handle some of these questions too. Sorcerer's been so quiet and patient, like she is always. Go ahead, Waylon.
Kane was talking about, with one of the things, the trumpets and stuff. One thing I've come to realize is that with a lot of spirits, when they're talking about things like that, when that's in their description is about, the sounds of trumpets or music or something like that. I always thought it was interesting, because a lot of the infernal spirits that I've called or I've worked with, don't be surprised if all of a sudden, if you hear "let the bodies hit the floor" in your head, and all of a sudden you're just filled with this freaking,
right. Yeah, I've noticed, like with the Goetia, a lot of that's code. A lot of that's code. It's meant to be metaphorical. So if it says you'll hear trumpets, expect a loud noise, even if it's just in your own head.
Who read the things and your mind's kept up with it is kind of in the subconscious already, so the expectations are there. One of the ways, though, that those spirits will come through, though, is like with modern day music. I mean, it's just too.
Yeah, that's actually really true, and it's like some of the stuff that, like Thorne was saying, is that there's these synchronicities that do occur. They speak within visions or music or things that are happening, and so a certain song will come on. I mean, I've been experiencing this a lot lately with different things, especially music. Something will be occurring, and I'll be on my way somewhere, or something will be transpiring in my life, and there's this song telling me certain things as this is occurring, and I do not see this as coincidence. It's just it really is mind blowing to me. And that goes with magic. It's like people do magic and think it's coincidence, but at enough time, you start to see that there's actually communication occurring here.
Yeah. So, Sorcerer, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
What is your feeling about, what we've been talking about with the same? Well, obviously synchronicity. You've had a lot of, conversations with Waylon about. What about one thing you had mentioned once about how you usually, when you communicate with spirits, a lot of times it's an internal thing in the point that it's not a verbal thing, it's not a visual thing. You just suddenly know things, and I'm a
Yes.
little bit similar to that. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, what kind of examples can you give on that, maybe?
Well, for me, I mean, I don't do much tarot. You know, if you look at my services, I do not offer tarot as a divination service. Um, you know, I suppose if I was, you know, more disciplined in that area, I would actually pick it up and learn it. But I myself am still learning tarot.
Mhm.
I tend to rely more on my own intuition, and it seems that if I evoke a spirit, you know, like some people are so clairaudient, like they hear very, you know, very definitive voices, and that seems to not be how it happens for me. For me, it happens more, you know, I'll get like a physical manifestation. I'll get things in the smoke. The smoke will coalesce a lot of times. You know, the candles will sputter and flicker. I'll get some really interesting, you know, physical manifestations. But when it comes to just getting like a knowing, whether it is a snapshot of what's happening like right now, you know, with the spirit, or if it is, you know, divining the future, I just get downloaded with information. And then often it doesn't always make sense sometimes. And I have to go back and I reverse engineer it
Yeah.
or figure it out like a puzzle or like a Rubik's Cube. When things turn into place via those synchronicities, then the picture becomes more clear and makes sense. There have been so many synchronicities the last several weeks, and it's, you know, it's hard to ignore when it just, you know, every day just something else happens. And I feel like when things, you know, when things flow, you know, you're on your path, you know, it's just a knowing, it's a pull, it's a feeling. You know, when I started doing particularly my work, the Enochian work, as well as my goetic work, that is when I seem to get, you know, the most downloads. I know that you guys were talking about, you know, seeing geometric shapes. I see a lot of geometric shapes at times, you know, and sometimes they mean different things. So, you know, I have to kind of figure that out for what it is. I'll see shapes. I'll just get pictures in my head. I'll get feelings. You know, I'll feel things very strongly.
I think one of the differences between occultists, like sorcerers, people who do this stuff, and average people isn't so much a sensitivity or that spirits talk to us exclusively or anything like that. I think it's simply that maybe we're more, I don't even want to say in tune. I think that's even the wrong word. I think we're just more willing to accept our intuitive nature, our experiences. Like you're talking about, things just happen and then you got to work from it. A lot of people would just like shelve that and just be like, that's just bullshit in my head. I don't need to pay attention to it. But
Right.
we're just eccentric enough that we sit down and scribble it out on a piece of paper and try to play with it and, you know, not just disregard it. You know what I mean? And like what you just said, like where you have to like reverse engineer it, that's like so, like I'm pretty sure every one of us has that moment where we go, what the fuck does, I'm pardon my French, what does this mean? You know, and we have to sit there.
Well, that's it. You know, like I'll see an outcome, you know, like I will see a very clear picture, or I will see several different futures. I don't know if these are timelines, if these are, I'm seeing across, you know, dimensionally, you know, what this is, but I'll see very specific things happening. And then oftentimes I don't know, you know, like that's maybe Z. I have to get through the alphabet. I'm not exactly sure, you know, what order it's going to happen, or, you know, where the steps are, or what exactly the steps are going to be, but I trust that they're there and that they will present themselves, or I will dig them out of existence.
But you don't shelve it. Like you actually sit
No,
there and you
absolutely
know,
not.
and you play with it. And I think that's, you know, I mean, wow. And I mean, I think that's just part of the fun too. Like one thing I get bored easy. So I think spirits know that. So they just keep me going to one different thing after another. Like if a spirit was like, you've got to focus the next 5 years on figuring out, I'd be like, no, give it to somebody else. I'm not like that. I need something different every week, but, so, I mean, and so that's really important. I think, you know, but I think that's also really important for people to know is when, like, that's why I brought it up, was that since you don't have that, maybe visceral, maybe that's the right word, the visceral experience of contact with the spirit world all the time, you have to rely on your intuition. You have to rely and trust your experience. And that's actually, for me, the definition of an open third eye. It's not that you see things that aren't there. It's that you see things that are there and you pay attention to them. You're aware of them. You actually give them attention, and even if you don't get the vision, you just know that's what it is, and you just work with it. You have to trust it.
I think all of this is really coming down to just being open, being more sensitive to our realities that exist around us, these different elements, and that to realize that, the reality that we're existing in is far more complex than what has been taught to us or given to us since children. It's being sensitive, as you said, to these different things, to these different elements, to these visions, to these synchronicities, to these voices that occur, and kind of piecing this all together to create this experience that is coming through, this communication that's coming through from these particular entities.
What do you think about the Enochian Keys?
I'm sorry?
Enochian. You don't use any type of communication with the Enochian Keys?
Be open to them?
Yeah, Enochian Keys.
I'm sorry. I'm having there must be a problem with my.
I'm having trouble hearing.
I'm sorry.
Enochian Keys.
Yeah.
The Enochian Keys?
Enochian Keys.
Enochian Keys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Enochian Keys. Yes. I think that's more Sorcerer's cup of tea there.
I definitely, for me.
I have a tarot with it too.
Do you? Oh, you have an Enochian tarot. Is it?
Well, it's not as a future, but it's actually used for sorcery also.
Nice.
But I'm just saying, are you all related with it?
I've used the third Enochian key with the what is it? One of my with my Thelema tarot deck, and it works really well. It opens up the doorway to it, and because Tahuti is at the base of the cards themselves, the Aleister Crowley Thoth tarot deck. That was the name of the tarot deck I was trying to remember. It's either the third or the fourth Enochian key I've used with it, and because Tahuti is the master of the tarot itself, it's always resonated perfectly. You can actually get responses from different spirits doing that too, or so I've found now. I can't say for Sorcerer there, because my sister there, she's got that Enochian down.
Well, I find that with the keys for myself, with, one of the rites that I do, I sing all of the Enochian keys. So a lot of people traditional Enochian magic, you might just, use like one key at a time to, get to these different layers of reality and, work with different entities. I sing them all, like one after the other. In Enochian, because of the frequency that it unlocks and works with. I find that when I do that, interesting things happen. I've had good results for myself and clients. It seems like it just opens you up to this universal flow, whatever this is, whatever these higher intelligences are. They respond very well to these keys, and it unlocks something. Again, like I use the example of like a cosmic Rubik's cube. These keys do something, they shift things around, they open doorways, and these currents just kind of come through, and it seems like they tend to imbue you with a lot of information, and for different things. I feel like it is almost like a time capsule, that was given 500 years ago, meant for today. And so it's just, there's so much there are so many layers there, and I still believe that we are just scratching the tip of the iceberg with it.
No,
But
I've had the pleasure of actually. Oh, go ahead, Thorne. I'm sorry.
Oh, we were talking about synchronicity. That's the second time today I've heard that. We've all heard scratch tip of the iceberg, but that exact way of saying it, that's the second time I've heard it today. I've never heard it before today. I've seen the tip of the iceberg. I've seen it scratch the tip of the iceberg. That's pretty funny. That's twice today. So that's important to know.
I was saying, I've actually had the pleasure and honor of hearing Sorcerer, work with a client and sing these Enochian keys. And, just as a bystander, I had, experienced a great peace that came through, and a connection with these entities just by being in the same room. So, it was indeed very powerful. The keys are very powerful. And the way she does it, and the way she offers it is, I think, really unique, and something that I've never had anybody else do. I've never heard anybody else do that. So, I thought that was something that was very, very special.
So when are we going to buy a house and all of us move in? And Sorceress sings to us every night, and I'll make weird blends of herbs for you to smoke.
There you go.
I'm not even into that. Like, what the hell? That's not even my thing.
I'll make Scott calls to aggravate the shit out of all y'all.
No, you'll be there too.
It wouldn't be anything, we wouldn't be the same without you, Waylon.
Oh, hell, I appreciate that.
We have to have one big ritual chamber.
I want the basement.
I get the tower, okay? I get the tower.
Why does everyone get the tower? That's all right. I hate stairs. Screw it. Fine, but I get the battlements.
Well, say I want the basement. That way, when things start to go wrong, you can always you'll always have your scapegoat. You can be like, he's at the root of the problem.
There you go. There it is.
Oh gosh.
I'm sorry, I had much fun with that thought.
When I was a kid, that was like my favorite thing. Like, was to visualize just a big house where everyone that I like could each get a wing of the house or a tower or whatever, and just we'd all have a big common area with like a big fireplace. The velvet, chair, wing back chairs. We all just sit around and just play D&D all night or something. Just nerd out,
I'd go for that.
We still got to do that when my shift changes. We're all going to be like, I'm going to bug you guys. Be like, hey, are we playing Cards Against Humanity? We're playing D&D this week. What are we doing? So,
I could see Kane in the attic room and having a spiral staircase to the top of the house, and the house would have to have a flat surface. So he could be like Sauron up there or some shit.
You know what's funny? This thing's going to have like 25 towers. We're all going to have 3 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But so we asked people for questions. We didn't really get any questions coming up. I guess, once again, we're just explaining things so well. But, one of the things that, you had mentioned, I know in private certain things I don't want to bring up unless you want to bring them up, but there's definitely things coming with the house soon you want to add to our repertoire of what we do and things. So I don't know if you want to talk about that or not, or if you just want to leave that hanging and let people be curious for the future.
I don't want to go into too much detail. There is definitely going to be a whole nother branch that's being developed for the house as well. Yeah, see.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to throw you into the whirlwind like that. I wasn't sure if you wanted to, if there was anything you wanted to mention about.
It's hard to kind of talk about it without going into specific details of things.
Damn,
I will say that there is a book that I'm currently working on that is a follow-up to another book having to do with smoke, or the lack of.
Wow. I have no idea. Do you guys know in the comments? Tell us what you think, because I don't know. Could you tell us what he's talking? I have no idea what he's talking about. But
that's going to be an amazing book. Something about no smoke.
Please put that in the subtitle. Right. Please put that somewhere, just as a joke, like in the dedication. This way, people will be like, "I saw that on that stream when he first announced that. I was there."
No, personally, I've been going through quite a bit. This has been a definite path working for me, and there's a lot of energy that I think is now being called to be put into writing more, an expansion of things, a deeper working of things regarding certain spirits. And of course, yes, I am talking about the Book of Smokeless Fire 2. It is the working title at this point is the Book of Smokeless Fire Into the Crucible. And it really goes into some of those struggles and that kind of energy that I've been exposed to and been and working with here lately. My life has been really interesting. it's been very hard in a lot of ways, and also very rewarding. And so, you know, there's a story to be told there, and I feel like it really needs to be put into this kind of book. And I'm excited to have that now upon my desk, if you will, sitting there waiting to continue to be worked on. So, you know, the idea of it is to work a little bit more in depthly with some of these spirits, not all 72, but to go into a little bit more in depth with the family of Iblis and some of the currents a little bit deeper. A lot of workings, even as I say this, I talk about seeing, these geometric shapes, these triangles, circles, and even when I speak of it now, that starts to manifest. And in a way, I see it kind of up here, you know. So it's just like I want to grab onto it, but
you got to grab like when I'm at work, I just start writing stuff down. Like, leave me alone for 2 seconds. I got to draw this picture that I have.
Right. Yeah. No, that's I'm real excited to. I'm real excited and terrified to open that door again. You know, as you know, the book of Smokeless has actually, you know, been said to be one of the most evil books in the world. And I can't really disagree with that, considering, you know, reading the content of the book, understanding what it really is working with, these currents that are involved. That, you know, it's definitely not something to play with. As Starlotta had said, you know, with the tarot. Certain aspects, you don't just work with these and then say goodbye. You know, working with these particular entities is really in depth. As I've said in Smokeless Fire 1, it's like walking on eggshells. So, you know, there's a very fine balance that must be achieved when working with these particular entities, especially these. So, yeah, you know, as I said, both excited and terrified, but. I think that there's going to be a lot of growth here, not only for myself, but also available to people who are looking to go into a little bit more personal experiences and a little bit more in depth within this current.
So we got a couple of new questions. We have we'll just tackle them one at a time, obviously. Ethan had asked to Starlotta if you wouldn't mind drawing an Enochian card, I guess, for everyone. I think he wants you to do just a single card reading if you're willing. Obviously you don't have to, no pressure. He's just curious if you can.
Well, I'm not trying to be picky, but I consider very some people will say it's spiritual. I would say like not really an experience that you can just throw out there. I mean, I'm a gifted person, as I can draw and everything. I can come up with something. I can probably say his answer. But I mean, to do it without a permission of the highest energy that is around the sacred part that I believe is so strong. To me, it's like passionate.
Mm-hmm.
I have like a specific huge respect to throw. A little. Hey, here, there's energy. You know.
Yeah. Plus, I always felt like it's just not right to just draw a card. You kind of have to have something in mind. Yeah. You know, it's because if you're just drawing a card, it's giving the cards too much power for one thing, and for another, it is disrespectful in a way because you are invoking either your own inner intuition or a spirit to help you, and just saying that's kind of like saying, you know, show me something. You know, like you're looking for and it's not. I'm not saying Ethan's doing that. I know Ethan's point. He's just trying to make something interesting and talk, but it is kind of like in my own practice. I don't like to just draw a card. I will draw a card when I feel it's necessary to draw a card, and I'll do it like when I'm chatting with people. Sometimes, like Kane and Sorcerer and Waylon, they all know. Like I'll just send them readings sometimes while we're talking. Like I'll just draw cards because I'm feeling like I got to do this, but I can't do it just because. Ooh, let's just pick a card and see what it says. I just don't like doing that.
I can if I'm led to it, but if I'm not led to it, I just. You know, I tend to let the powers be.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we had 2 more questions that I'm aware of. Give me just 1 second while
we got a few more coming up now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Ethan had asked about if she minded drawing a card.
And again, Ethan, I'm not dissing your question. By the way, I dismissed it. By the way, it's a fair question, brother.
And Darius Bay had asked Sorcerer, "How's your upcoming book coming along?"
Oh, it's almost ready to go. You know, we're just waiting on a few things with the art, and it should be out. It should be out soon.
Would you care to elaborate on the artist as well as the art and maybe what that entails just a bit. I mean, personally, I have to say that because it's to me, I think it's just so amazing. So you know.
Just a minute. Sorry. Trying to get my screens back.
Did you lose us? Because we got you.
You got me. I'm still
Yeah,
trying
we
to.
can see you fine. We can see you fine.
Okay. Give me a minute. Trying to get something back that went down. You can get to one of the next questions.
Okay.
And
And
then
the next
return to mine.
question would be, let's see here, which I think somebody, Felix Satanas Root Witch had asked Cain, what inspired you to write the book of Smokeless Fire? And was your, I think they meant to say, and what was your experience with Jinn? I know you went to length about the about that, but do you want to give a short little thing about that, brother?
Sure, no problem. You know, that book actually came out of a lot of pain, personal pain, a lot of betrayal that had come into my life, and you know, we talked.
Uh-oh.
We lost the volume.
We lost somebody's volume. Let me see. Let me see what's on our end. Hold on, Kane. Just 1 second. Nope. You're all green on my side. I can still. Waylon, just say something so I know it's you still working.
Something's still working.
All right. Everyone just say something real quick.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. So everybody but Kane. It looks like Kane's frozen too. Let's see.
No.
Yeah, he might have dropped. That might be what happened. It's okay. We'll give him a second. It happens.
Okay, then we can go ahead and let Sorsha, if she's ready, go ahead.
No, I am not.
Oh,
Still having some technical things on my end. I apologize.
the audience is going to be stuck with me running my mouth then because Thorne's been eating up all the airtime, all the detail, and drinking his
my
lovely
God.
drink back there. It looks like Mountain Dew. That's not Mountain Dew.
I drank it all already. There's no Mountain Dew left.
I'm right here. I'm just moving things around.
I don't drink Mountain Dew. I hate Mountain Dew.
You're a hater.
Actually, you know what? I liked Mountain Dew in the 80s. Like when I was a little kid, first time I ever had it was like in the 80s. And my mom gave it to me. And it was back in the old days when it was the actual, factual, real deal Mountain Dew. Nowadays, it's like chemicals or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, that's funny you say that because when I was a little kid, they came in glass bottles. Glass bottles,
Yep.
man. I miss
Glass bottles make soda taste better, period.
Yeah, a cold drink tasted like a cold drink. Now you get it in plastic. It's like, for example, set it in the refrigerator. Watch what happens. It's going to go flat within 14 hours.
Yeah.
Every time, never fails.
I got to get off soda anyway. Oh, there he goes. We got him back.
All right, sorry about that. The
That's all right.
little technical problems there. So I think what I was saying there is what Smokeless Fire had come from, and I came from a lot of personal pain in my life, a lot of things, a lot of betrayal that had happened. You know, and I think that's exactly what Smokeless Fire 2 is really focusing on. You know, it's not something I just I'm gonna write a sequel to this book. It's not that kind of a book, and it had to be something that occurred to me in order for this to transpire. This kind of this path of pain, if you will, and that's kind of what Into the Crucible, kind of indicates, and Crucible, it really talks about going through hard times and having something very positive or a good change come out of that. So that's what this is kind of focused on, and that's kind of why I want to go into an even deeper level of the book. The first book was definitely more, it definitely a strong workings, but the second book is going to really go a little bit, even deeper into that current, and really just kind of focused on Focus on self transformation, if you will.
Mm.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. I've read a lot of authors, and I like how your books, they're so to the point, Kane. I mean, straight up, it is what it is. You read it, and you know, and you can tell that somebody's walked this path, somebody's done this working, but like they've left themselves out of it so that you can experience the workings for yourself. It's not filled with your own personal what you think. You know, it's not got your biases. You can tell that with anything you write. You know, and I love that about your writings. I mean, all of them. You know, it was half the reason why I could do the Haunter in the Dark, because otherwise, you know, if you had gone in and been like, you know, oh well, you know, this can happen and this can happen and this can happen and this can happen, that would have been programming my mind to expect that.
Sure.
Or, you know, and me being the conscientious practitioner, I'd have been sitting there going, okay, I need to have a blank, you know, I need to be unbiased, non-thinking, just an empty mind. Just let's have the experience for the experience sake.
Right.
So I can imagine that, you know, anything that you put out there, being that powerful, and you know, and I'm like one of your hugest fans, and just I like your writing style. That's just my biggest thing is you got the detail, you got the rituals, you know, you've got the meditations and all this other stuff. One of the biggest rites that I've seen that nobody's talked about, and it's like a meditational rite, and it's the one with the black serpent. I use that. I do that exactly how you prescribe it to be done ever so often. And nobody talks about that. You know, they're always talking about, oh, you know, this spirit does this and this spirit does that, and so forth and so on. But one of the most powerful rites is the one least spoken of, and it's the one that brings you to that seat of power. You know, so I'm seriously tickled to see the next part of it, man.
You know, it's.
I'm just showing my Mountain Dew because he said Mountain Dew hipster.
You're a bastard.
No, I'm doing that because he said Mountain Dew hipster. Had nothing to do with you, bro.
Oh.
He said Mountain Dew hipster. I'm like, nah. Mountain Dew don't hold a candle. I'm not even a drinker. It's just I love it. It's
yeah. No, you know, I think my books are well received because I'm really writing from a deep truth. I don't question if this works or that works or if this is you know, it's irrelevant to me. I'm writing from my core self and when working with these entities from a very core base. My work is very personal. It means a lot to me. I'm expressing myself through these works. And so, yeah, there's a lot that goes into that. And I think that people are picking up on that essential basic truth that's coming through. And this is why, you know, it touches a nerve with people. They see that the work is quite serious. It's not to be taken lightly. You know, and it's funny because I look at my books and I think, you know, well, you know, that's to be said about every one of them. So, you know, I'm excited to go into this. I haven't written in a little while. I have been going through a great depression of things, and now I'm coming out of that situation. And I'm a lot of things are more free to me, so I'm able to delve back into that world again, and really connect with those energies again, like I haven't been in a while now, and that that excites me.
Yeah. You know, it's good to see, and I love being in that space too. Go ahead, Waylon.
You were talking about you had come from a point of pain at a certain point. I think that's true for any of us who write, or you know, who are trying to author books or do this or do that. I think that our writings in general, whether it's a book or whether, you know, it's a magical journal that you're keeping or magical notes or whatever, I think that when we go back and we look at it, we see where we were coming from internally, and seeing the new you, and just seeing this, you know, a brother that is freed from, you know, from some of the stuff that you were bound to, and some of the stuff that, you know, not just you, but everybody in life goes through at some point of time. itself.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of it's a story, as I've said before, you've got different bands that put out different CDs, and often one CD is vastly different than the other, and at the same time, it's just something that band or that author, musician was going through at that time and expressing himself in this particular way. I believe that authors are very much the same way. You're going through different things, you're writing different things, like Black Book of Azathoth, different period of time, different things I was going through. Smokeless Fire, completely different. The writing styles are the same, the content is still meaningful, but yet it is expressing different kinds of concepts.
I think a straight up book of spells from you would be awesome. Just a spell book. Just, that right there. Woo.
Well, I got to say that there are at least 5, if not more, books that are in my books to write section, and I'm excited about all of them, though they're all each a huge undertaking to do. Writing a book is not an easy task, as Thorne would know. There's a lot that goes into that, and so it's just, when it was Smokeless Fire, I wrote 95% of the book within a magical circle on the floor, literally sigils just strung out all over the place, just all that energy, just focusing in, and so there's a lot that goes into this kind of creation. So it's a journey. Each one is, I've got tons of memories that are attached to each one of these volumes, and they're very personal, but I'm excited to release the new book. As I said, it's not written yet, but it's there, and I'm excited to delve into that. Yep.
Do you think sometimes that it's hard to keep up with, with people wanting more and more out of you? Like, when they see one book, then they want to see another book, then they want to see another book. Do you sometimes feel like you're having to work twice as hard to try and keep up?
I don't work that way. It's not how I work. Like I said, I haven't written in a long time, and the reason is because it's not forced. I cannot force myself to write. It does not work that way. It must occur on its own. It must be natural. And this is this kind of process. So, I'm at that place now where I'm hearing that calling, I'm feeling that calling, and it's something again that I haven't felt in a long time. And I'm glad that has not been lost. That I can regain that again and submerge myself into this world, into these currents again, because it's not something I can force myself into.
Yeah. Guys, you both got a question. Thorne and Kane. Hold on a second. Let me find the question because I want to make sure I get this right. Because they're asking about your symbols. Mercer Sarah Lavelle, can you explain the sigil behind you? And that is to both Kane and Thorne. And yeah.
Thorne?
I was going to say let you go first because I've said mine a billion times, and I'll say it again a billion times. But we don't hear too often, unless you read your books, what the Trinity of Triangles and all that, is such a beautiful. I'm not going to say it didn't inspire anything that I did. In fact, that was one of the reasons that drew me to your book, was that I've always worked with triangles, and
really
when I saw that, what's that?
So you can't really see it, overly well, but yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
In my opinion of things, I think the Goetia is incredibly simplistic in the fact that you have a circle and you have a triangle. I mean, that's the most basic of designs that one could possibly come up with for the technology of evocation. And I believe that what I call static energy exists within these designs. You can actually see it traveling around and feel that force. So constructing this kind of technology takes it's very precise. I call this the 3 and 9 is the unofficial name, and there's a mystery to that to be solved. To each his own in that regard. But the way that, again, all of it to me is almost like a circuit board, and you'll see this again reflected within the book of Smokeless Fire, where some of the designs in there are just, I say they're amazing, and I don't say that to be egotistical. I don't believe that I came up with them, is the thing. I believe they came through me, and I mean I couldn't sit down and draw something like that. That's insane. And yet here's these, things that have come through, and I feel honored to be able to tap into that kind of current and see this kind of technology and put this down upon paper so others can use this.
I love when you discussed in your book about the tension and the breaking of the tension of very, very interesting. And people, I don't want to give too much of your show away. People really should read your books. I mean, what I liked about Book of Smokeless Fire is that somehow there's a connection between your 3 and 9, the Trinity of Triangles, and the geometry of the Book of Smokeless Fire. There's a nesting going on. It's very interesting that it works that way, because it kind of shows a universality to the symbolism that's being used, and how these things have a almost 3-dimensional construct to them.
Absolutely.
And it's almost like it's almost like any sigil, because you do work with chaos magic and stuff. It's like any sigil. It bypasses the conscious mind, gets through that filter so that you can access the deeper subconscious to do the magic with it. And that's why it's important not to explain it too much, in a way, like that, letting people figure it out is so important.
There is something for that individual to work through. I do talk about, like you said, the tension, the static energy that is built up within these designs, and working with them, and through evocation, you're actually releasing this and causing that portal to be opened up where communication can be had with these entities. So to me, I don't see magic as magic. I don't like the word. I've written and talked about this many times. To me, it is a science, and it's a science that is very technical, and yet at the same time, it's very analog. So there's a combination between these. There's a balance there. But when you're working with the triangles, when you're working with these things, there's definitely a technology that's involved, which is why I love Thorne's sigil there behind him there. And forgive me, the name is eluding me at this time.
It's funny because when I it's almost the same. Yours is the Trinity of Triangles, mine is the Trinity of Self. Right. And symbolism, I think, is different, but maybe there's some similarities. And this is based off of things that I've always been doing. When I was young, before I knew anything, for those who don't know, most of my practices are intuitive in nature. I don't read a book and copy it. I don't practice out of books very much. The little bit that I do is just to get my feet wet, and then I just go do what I want to do with it. So I never read in a book, use a triangle, use a circle. I never read the Goetia. I just said a triangle and a circle are the most important shapes to me, so I would draw a circle and put a triangle in the center of it. And I would use that as everything from a battery, like a collector, to originally I used it for protection because I didn't know any better. But then I realized it's more of a collector for energy. This is back when I was like 13 or 15, And as I went through the years, I developed it more and more. I changed it. I saw it more like the eye of the dragon, and the original symbolism wasn't very unlike something from the 21 Lessons of Merlin. It was a very similar shape, and I realized, like, hey, this is kind of interesting, because if you change the degrees of the angles, it looks like an eye is opening. So I started playing with that. And as I went with that, I just kind of used it that way, and it never really occurred to me what I was meaning, except that there was a holistic purpose behind it. That's all I kind of understood. When I reawakened to magic last year, I started playing with this shape again, because originally I was playing with your shape, the Trinity of Triangles, and I'm trying to work with that, and I'm noticing patterns and things. I said, you know what? If I'm going to do my own magic, I can't just use Kane's stuff, and I can't just use that in my own writing. I have to go back to the source of that triangle that I work with so much, and try to figure out what it was trying to tell me. And then I started looking at the Goetia, and I realized, oh crap, the Goetia has like a circle in the middle on one of the triangle of art, and all this other stuff. I'm realizing these are focal points, and these are that, and these are that. And then I started applying my own non-dualistic understanding to things. And I recognized that this symbol is not necessarily like a mechanical piece of magical technology. It is a symbol that is like any sigil. It evokes an understanding in my subconscious when I use it of what I'm doing. And briefly, to sum it up, it's several circles and it's several triangles together. The outer circle represents the subjective universe. So everything within that outer circle is a subjective universe, and everything is within the subjective understanding. The center circle, the smaller circle, is the objective universe, and that it's almost like those what are they, Venn diagrams, and you have different circles, and they. So the center circle is the objective universe. Everything that we all agree upon is within this center circle here. and you experience everything within this circle here. Now, the triangles, there's actually one center triangle, but then there's hard to do this way. Okay, so there's 3 corners, basically. And each one of those triangles represents something, and each one is what is an aspect of reality. And you have each one is a holistic aspect. So you have the holistic aspect of mind, body, and spirit. Now, body represents physical body. But it isn't formed yet. It's body without any kind of shape or meaning. It's pure chaotic body. It's stuff. It's ether. It's the subatomic, it's the quantum soup. It's the foam before any kind of reality can be overlaid on it. The spirit is a realm of ideas and emotion, and the spirit is where it's kind of like imagination, but it's not limited to imagination. So it's kind of everything that is possible given symbolic form. So ideas without ideation, if that makes sense. So
Sure.
Ideas without ideals. So hot and cold is there, but there's no judgment placed upon hot and cold. There's hot and cold,
right.
And all that. Then you have the mind, and the mind is what takes the spirit, the ideas, the what the possibilities are, and then overlays them on the body to create material reality. And so then you have these different sectors, and each one of those is what you get when you cross the different aspects. So if you have mind and body, will give you the material world. The mind observing body and giving it meaning gives you the material world the mundane world that we all work in. The mind observing the spirit, the mind paying attention to the spirit, is the astral realm. And that's the top part of it, the astral realm. The astral realm would be the idea, the world of spirits, the world of ideas, from a human perspective. So spirit would be pure ideas. Astral realm is ideas put in motion, ideas put in action. So in the astral realm, what you think becomes real, and so on. But then you have opposite the mind, you have the void. And the reason it's opposite is because the mind can't technically go into the void. The mind and the void are oil and water. They can't mix. But the void is made up of what happens when you have body and spirit without a mind to observe it. So in other words, body and spirit without a mind is the base reality. The true base reality is the void. And it's everything and nothing all at the same time. It's all possibilities and all beginnings and endings all existing at once, because there's no mind to separate anything.
So looking at sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Looking at the technical aspects of things again, the science of magic, if you will, and this was done in the Black Book of Azathoth. In fact, the very first edition of that, Volubilis Ex Chaosium. There's a picture there showing a triangle, the Trinity of Triangles, and within that, there's a crystal ball. And I work with that in ways to help the manifestation of spirits within the crystal balls, to help that spirit communicate. Do you find the same thing, Jacqueline? In that works?
Good. You can see that. Okay, that's I use those with the crystal ball to enhance that. That's the seals of Solomon.
Okay.
Also circles and holographic. But
They're a little difficult to see, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I can send you a picture eventually. But see,
Okay.
this is part of the seals of Solomon that goes with the clear balls. They're usually normal clear balls. The black ball over here, that one I use with Solomon and with Enochian Keys, because
Right.
that's a spray in black ball.
Right.
Typically, most of the times to spray, like a spray in black mirror. But the clear ones are more like futuristic with regular, tarot decks. So this one calls, like what you were saying, closer spirit or closer encounter to what you were talking. Yeah, it's a different connection.
So, I'm curious how your interpretation of it. Go ahead.
This type of cards also.
Okay, yeah, that's very familiar sigil.
Thoughtless, yeah.
So, but these ones are sealed. They're different. So this is more sigil. This is more Enochian Keys in a tarot deck. You know what I'm saying? So these are Enochian, and I have like 4 different Enochian, different tarot decks. I just put the most normal one. But these are like very, very sacred kind of cards. Regardless of who makes them or not, there's a lot of people that have made their own in their paper, how
Right.
what they're trying to predict to be useful for. This one's had some for power, some for destroying. So got all type of magic here going on. And then when you use it with the crystal ball, is the outcome of the question of more or less, how it works with an apple. Because
Interesting.
for good, you read the the Solomon, thing, the holographic thing, everything. And then it comes out in the crystal ball of the outcome of your work, or the outcome of your family, or,
Right.
getting to that.
So when you're working with crystal balls, how would it be different, say, than tarot work when you're perceiving things? Imagery, right?
It's more of a kind of like your mind and image. It can be from pure rain to smoke. It could be a whole scene situation for people you don't even know walking around the street. Sometimes it can be numbers. It can be like some people ask me, "You put powders in your crystal balls?" Because we went to Louisiana, and some people like mix powders that way the ball can help predict or move the water around or something. For some people that helps, for for some other people it doesn't. To me, it's like if someone has me a question, I have the crystal ball. Actually, preferably what I do is like if I'm over the phone, I shuffle the deck and then I say now we're gonna pass the cards through the crystal ball and then I'll see eventually through the reading the image of it. Like usually I don't ask questions. Okay, general reading. I don't ask you about your personal life, if you want love or anything like that. I go okay.
Right.
Let me project what I can pick up from you. And they even, the clients most of the time say, what can you pick up from me today? Because clients get smarter too. Oh, if I tell you my whole life, then you're not going to predict everything. They try you on a constant basis. So you are basically seeing a person you never even talked to before. It can be an entity. So in fact,
Right.
Someone that manifests in a person. I believe, just like I don't believe in certain things like Santa Claus and things like that. I do believe that there's some things and some forces, that might be able to represent themselves in other things. I mean, I do give it the benefit of the doubt. And I have never experienced anybody besides Nostradamus trying to call me in a psychic line, tell me he was Nostradamus and predicting the future on the phone. So it was, oh, sure, Nostradamus. Okay. But, you see the difference, but I mean, you never know. So,
Right.
but I got my feelings. Of course, he's not Nostradamus. Okay. So I mean, but once you read that, if you use the crystal ball, you don't use the cards. It's just pure crystal ball. You get all the reflection of people's images. I usually meditate for about 20 minutes before I do a whole day of crystal ball readings. Okay, today's gonna be crystal ball. But today's gonna be Ouija board with tarot. It depends.
Right.
They like combinations. I accommodate to their needs. Like if they need hard, and usually most of the time, or 100% of the time, comes out I'm gifted that they come out, pretty good.
Right.
So
Yeah, see, that's something you offer through the house as a service as well. Is actually being able to offer that to the public to access this.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I do a lot. I mean, this is basically my business in a way.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm my own owner, my own everything, photographer, my own promoter. I mean, so but little by little we all do. But like going back into the principle, it's an amazing experience for the people that have experiences with me before. They feel very comfortable. It gives them some calmness. Some people start to get very addicted to it.
Right.
So wait a minute, gotta slow down. With the card, you have addicted people that can something change every 5 minutes. It's not going to change in 5 minutes unless the track is dead. Your situation is still the same.
Sure.
So, but it's a magic and mystical things or magic things or entities or whatever it is that people release, who manifest through their dreams, they will manifest through whatever they have. They can see it. That's great. Like Kersha, I think that's how you pronounce it. She sees it with visions. Automatically comes to her and she can try to find the puzzle. The keys to how to figure it out. I think sometimes immediately, sometimes it takes her a while.
Sure.
So it's the same thing if you have like a tarot card reading that the person is very blocked. No matter how you look at it, you're like, there's no way into you. Something,
Right.
you know, and usually I don't have blockers. You're a blocker. You know, so I mean, I don't tell them like that, but I'm like, oh, this is a blocker. It's gonna take me longer, and I always tell them it's gonna take you. It's gonna take me more than an hour, probably about 2 more days. You know, because I know you're a blocker. You know, so
Right.
it's
Right.
hard for me to get
You
it.
know, I have nothing but love and respect for people like you that do the kind of work you do. The reason why is because about 18 years ago, I used to do past life readings, tarot readings, stuff like this for people. And the tarot readings were the worst. Some people, man, they would want me to like constantly read their cards like 4 or 5 times a day. And it's like they keep saying the same thing. They keep saying the same thing, you know. And just, I applaud you for your skill and your work and your patience.
Yeah, I tell them, didn't I just read your card? Some people try to play with you. They pretend that it's not you. Oh, didn't I just talk to you? And then, okay, this is the third time. You already called the third time. Nothing. I'm using even another deck. And I have them front face to face. Look, it's a different deck. It came out the same.
Yep.
They didn't even give me time to shuffle to rearrange them or something, you know, to make a little difference. You know, I mean, like I joke with them like that. It's the same. Nothing has changed.
Right.
But I make them understand the right way, you know, so that way they don't take it as an offense. You know, I know you want to know, but things sometimes don't change that quick unless it's like a tragic death or something, a natural disaster, you know, or something like that, you know. And even then, I'm not going to be able to tell you tomorrow there's going to be a hurricane that's going to kick you down right in one day, you know, or demolish, you know what I mean? So on. It's like, oh, it's coming your way, but I don't know exactly how many people are going to die. Like the people that ask, what many numbers, what are the winning numbers? But aren't you a psychic? Yes, I'm a psychic, but I am not wow, you know, I'm going to seal it. Otherwise, I'll be the millionaire, you know?
Yeah. Well, once another lifetime ago, I used to work on a tarot line, and I would ask people their name, and they would be such smart asses and say, "Well, you're psychic. Why don't you tell me?"
Oh, you get that
And I hated that so much.
for 20 years and handle it. So I think that proves the patience and actually, the, I'm very committed to my work, you know? So in some way,
Absolutely.
I was born, I think that I'm committed to have the patience to do it.
Right.
Save people's lives. I have encouraged people's lives, you know, motivate people out of the hole, you know, and bring them up. That's more. I mean, of course, the money is good, but more than anything, is there over there that I did a change in somebody's life.
Right. Right.
Important. So, I mean, if they call me all the time, and I have all type of people, of course, and then I have people that I know not everything came out like you told me, but pretty much it did. I mean, like, thank you for the compliment, you know, whatever. But then I have other people, no, it's gotta be my way. He loves me. You're lying to me. I'm gonna call you your psychic line because you're lying. You
Right.
say no, he's not a cheater. He's not. I swear. I just saw. I'm like, ugh. Anyway, I'm breaking my relationship with you, and you can find yourself another psychic. You know.
Right, right. Well, I mean, it happens the same thing, working with the magical realm of things, where there's things that occur, or things that I'll suggest different spirits to work with or whatnot. It's funny because people will come to you for your advice and then tell you how you're wrong. So I've always found that to be rather amusing.
Well, I find it funny, you know, and then I'm
Sure.
and the souls around me and the spirits and the ghosts, we laugh at them. So, you know, it's kind of like a sarcastic thing, you know. So I always feel like I have company behind me. I don't know why. So that's what I'm saying. I always feel someone around me or some people around me.
Right.
So it's like I never feel defeated or sad or angry. I never lose control. And a lot of people have said that it's a part of your own inner self, how you can actually project that, you know, the security, the self-confidence, actually having that feeling I can read my thoughts.
Right.
I am not
Right.
a promiser.
Know thyself, kind of situation. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not a false prophet. I'm saying what I'm saying. If you don't like it, good. If you like it, oh well, take it, you know.
Right. Right.
I like that attitude.
Yeah, that's how it should be. I mean, that's where it's at.
That customer didn't like me, there's next. And if you review wrong, I'm gonna say, well, I'm gonna review you wrong, so that way they don't give you your money back. You're dealing with a major girl here, not just anybody, you know. Yeah, so eye for an eye. Well,
right.
client obviously, because no psychic is gonna like it, you know. And
Right.
then, actually, the people believe me. No, you have been working for us for such a long time. That's yes. Let's remove from the account. Anyway, he only spends 3 minutes every time he calls. 3 minutes, you know.
Yeah, right.
So.
But I don't know, Sorcerer, were you able to get all that stuff put together, whatever you were trying to come up with?
Yeah, I know that to answer an earlier question about, my book and my art, I had wanted to, also let people know that, my artist his name is Von Kurt. Some of you may be familiar with him. He's definitely on Facebook. You should totally check out his work. It's pretty amazing. He definitely taps into so many things. And I feel like his art will definitely do my book justice. And I'm really happy with, the sketches and things that he shared so far. And I look really forward to seeing how it takes shape, as the pieces continue to progress and become finished.
I mean, this particular artist, to me, really taps into the subject of your book. Really talks about tapping into the void, and the way he's interpreting this. I mean, to me, it's just quite amazing how he's actually translated this place, or this non-place, if you will, onto paper. I'm really pleased with what has come out so far and his representation of this.
Well, and I also find, like, we've had so many, we've both, spent time in the void, in the abyss. We each have, unique experiences, but yet we've seen a lot of the same things. And, he'll ask me a question and say, like, hey, did you see this when you were there? And it's like, it's just synchronicities again. They're uncanny. Right. Across the board,
Well, I know this guy. I've worked with him before on personal things, and he's definitely been a voyager and delved into that area. It's like, it goes back to something that Thorne was talking about, the void, going into this realm of thought or non-thought, of being or non-being. It reminds me very much of Carlos Castaneda's Nagual, as he describes it. And not really fully comprehending this in all ways that are to human consciousness. And that's the thing, is it's this formless kind of place, and yet this person, Von Kurt, is able to actually put these things into an image, or a visual representation, and do it so well. So I think he really has done an amazing job.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we're getting late there, right, Waylon? Is that what you're about to say?
No, well, yeah, it is getting late, but no, I was going to say, I can't wait. There are so many things out there that are being put out, Sorcerer, with this book. I have been dying for this book to come out. Thorne, you got yours coming out, and, Kane working on, just everything from rebuilding from the Ashes Publishing to getting back into writing these books and stuff. I mean, this stuff, I'm gonna lie, y'all gonna make me be broke as shit. But I'm okay with that. I just want you to know I am okay with that.
All right. Well, you don't.
I'll have to give you a signed copy.
You already got a copy waiting, brother.
Yeah.
I want mine autographed.
I was thinking about doing like 5. Like there's definitely a handful of people that I'm going to be giving a free copy to that have been supportive of me, or my friends, or just people that I like. And I want to do that. I also want to, do maybe, like, if I get like 1,000 subs on my YouTube channel, I want to do a giveaway for a signed copy. Probably, United States only, guys. I can't afford shipping around the world. But yeah, I think, a lot of people are putting books out, and there was a meme going around lately, like, where everyone's putting a book out. It's almost a joke. Like every occultist out there is doing a book now, and it's like the in thing. At what point do you think there's enough books about this stuff? Do you think that there's a point? Never.
Hush your whore mouth. Never.
Never.
You guys keep writing.
My mouth.
They always ask me to write a book, and you know what? I'm like, as long as I don't have somebody say it for me or write it, because otherwise I can't just all my life to be too much. I'm not ready for a book yet, so I'm not into those people. I'm in that category yet. It will require a very patient writer, for me to
Right.
just go through my details and everything, because I'm a storyteller, so so I'll be more the part that can make the.
Well, perhaps that'll be a project I'll take on one day.
But no, this was awesome, guys. This is awesome. Thank you for being here doing this. To all our viewers out there, this is, we get to do this once a week to do this. And every time we try to bring content, and we don't just try to, sit and waste your time or anything like that. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that we try to bring to the forefront of the community to let everybody know, we're still here, we're still kicking, we're still doing this, we're still grinding it down. Poor Thorne, he's gonna be the poster child of grinding it down. Let me tell you, we're gonna
just for another month, brother. Then I'm smoothing it. Thank you, though.
But yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate that, man. I think every week we try to do a different stream. From the Ashes, has been a good friend to Dark Sorcery and vice versa. We're really happy to have you guys with us. And we're really happy to have you guys make regular appearances like this. It means a lot to us, because Dark Sorcery is a big Facebook group, but as a YouTube channel, it's small. And Waylon and I have growing channels all the time. We're adding more subs, and we're getting there every week. We got a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and our content gets a little bit more. Now, here's the thing that gets messed up: is eventually you kind of run out of things to split hairs about. So at some point we're going to just be rehashing old topics. But what's interesting is, each one of us that's been in these videos, we all have our wheelhouse, and our wheelhouse is a real deep wheelhouse. We can keep going for hours just BSing about the same things and splitting it more and more. And it's interesting because you don't get a lot of that. A lot of people try to hide this information, or they try to just give you a little piece and then go buy my book to learn the rest.
Yep.
And we're very, not to say that we don't do that ever, but I think that the difference is that we're very open and authentic about what we're talking about. I mean, I speak to you guys from my ritual chamber, and Waylon's sitting there. He's not hiding anything. No, none of you are hiding anything. We all have it. All the cards are up front, and we're telling you what we're living, and we're not hiding that. And I think people appreciate that, but it's also more fun for us because we can really just, take your shoes off and just talk about what we do.
Well, that's what I love about this situation. It's just we were able to just relax, and whatever comes up, just have a group discussion about it.
Yeah. It's almost like you guys get to sit around the campfire with us, and maybe
Right.
maybe when the better weather comes, maybe that's where I'll shoot from, is from my bonfire. But yeah, guys, so let's put our links in our explanations of who we are everywhere. So you have FromTheAshesPublishing.com. Make sure you go there. There's a list of services. There's a link in the description to the house. The books are linked there. Everything's linked there. Please check it out. Check out all the services. If you want to support From the Ashes and what we do, book a ritual, book a consultation, even just subscribe to the newsletter so that you can, be up on everything that's coming up. You have Dark Sorcery. If you've never been there, which I kind of find strange if you're on our YouTube channel, but if you've never been there, please go to the Dark Sorcery, Facebook group. And you'll see, a lot of people here are regulars there, and we do teach occasionally. And, Kane, Sorsha, Waylon, and I don't know, I guess Starletta will hopefully be making appearances there. So Dark Sorcery's got your back. Then you have the Black Tower with a Sorcerer Araman Azul over there with his hat. Yes, please go to his channel, please. He's got an awesome channel. He goes back several years with some just incredibly deep stuff. And it was one of the things that got me back into this stuff. And then of course you have mine, which is DH Thorne, and on Facebook I have several things.
Symbols, and I'm gonna say this real quick. Speaking of symbols, my symbol is the loop with the 3 arms. It represents the Trinity of Death.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always thought that was interesting. And then I saw Kane's Trinity of Triangles, and then along come you with your little maelstrom trying to tear up the ground, man. Keep it up, you know. And you know, and Sorcerer with her little Enochian symbol, really seriously like expanding the universe, the cosmic matrix of it all. My sister's got that shit going on, you know. And I can't wait to get to actually talk more with Starletta and, you know, find out what's up there. But hell yeah, guys. Hell yeah.
Well, once my schedule clears up, I'll be doing more content every week, especially, you know, closer to my book release. I want to, obviously, you said you had me down for the first interview about it. So
You damn right, man. You damn right.
my channel, Soya Dewey, is for YouTube. It's actually, I'll put a link to it. Give me a minute. But it's you can find it just in I think it's actually down in the description, my YouTube channel. If not, just check on Facebook. I'll give it to you there. So I don't, because I think it's a different name than what it is. You can search for me, DH Thorne on YouTube. That should pop it up, or you can definitely do it on Google. I think I've got enough content out now that if you do the Sorcerer DH Thorne or Demon Sorcerer DH Thorne, something will come up.
From the Ashes Publishing also has a YouTube channel, and it hasn't
That's
been
right.
overly active, but that's all about to change here really soon. So, you know, you might want to go check that out. There's a lot that's going to be going on there as well.
Yeah, I think we're all going to be just up in the ante. It's a shame that like we can't figure out a way to just create one channel, but we all just have our own different spectrums and things. So, but I think it's really cool that we all have like all these different channels that are all doing well and growing every time I look, there's like 10, 20 more, 50 more. So
Right.
if you guys like us, if you guys like what we're doing, please subscribe to our channels. Please go to find us on different things. This way you don't miss when we do this stuff. And, you know, we're just going to keep bringing you whatever we can and try to bring this.
Annoying you with those Facebook notifications and ads saying going live.
Right. Yeah, especially that, because when we go live every Saturday. Every Saturday at 10 Eastern is when we aim to do it. And unless something happens, we're always going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing more in June. I know from the Ashes Publishing, they want to do, you know, more videos. I'm going to be helping with that. I'm sure Waylon will be helping with that. We'll all be helping with that. So just more content to spread around and, you know, just spread the love, right? You know, so thanks guys. Thanks.
That's what it's about the community.
Yeah.
Nothing but mad love for each and every single one of y'all. Seriously.
Yeah, man.
We are one large community.
It's definitely like a highlight of my week when we get to all sit down like this, you know, or Alfredo and me and you. And it's really a highlight. It's one of the lights at the end of the tunnel for me when I'm working 60, 70 hours a week. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do a stream tonight. And I'm all cranky when I come home. And then like a half hour before, I'm like really stressed. And then I click that button and I feel the energy come up. And I'm like, thank God. Here's all my friends. Here we go. So, yeah, Starlotta, do you do YouTube yet? Do you have any YouTube content?
Yes, I do. It's under Estrelada as well.
Okay. So
It's not hard to find. It's just, you know, I just do like predictions for general public. I'm not very committed yet because I find people being very, very grumpy just because you don't answer one question. And I just do like, I mean, I love to answer to people a lot, but I noticed that Facebook, basically, if I go video live, I can do the same thing and get a lot more people to watch it. And going every time I link straight to YouTube, I do okay. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I have people, of course, but I have to like, I spend more than an hour, you know, just answering questions to people that they just randomly want to constantly ask you the same question, or and then a lot of people want you to do their readings. I mean, they get particularly picky when they're just supposed to get one answer. You know, like why can't you just elaborate 10 questions in one? No, that's not the way it works. You know? I mean, I'm not gonna. I have 20 people over here that wants answers too. You know, and that's what private readings are for. So since I'm my own manager here, I'm trying to figure that part out of YouTube because my work compared to all of y'all. I mean, I do reviews on decks for a lot of people. I actually work for some companies to review decks so that way they can pre-sell. I mean, before I make the videos, write it down, and I get the deck, you know, see it, you know, from straight from the companies and see if what's wrong with the deck or what's not right, you know. So I'm a reviewer for decks. So that is another part of what I do. So I haven't made that many reviews online because a lot of them are supposed to be kept secret until they come out eventually. So, and then not only that, but then I do the readings, and then I try to make a little bit more of a different show than other people just throw in a car. Okay, this is the week for let's try to just try to make up whatever I can from a Scorpio from the tarot deck. I can do it, but I don't like to do it for so many people at once because not everybody applies to that situation.
Sure.
So let's not generalize everything. You can't just generalize everybody's life by, okay, these people show that he's going to die. Okay, all of you, maybe someone is going to die this week, so expect it. It doesn't work. Yeah. So I'm more like a specific, and I tell, if you want a private reading, I can do that. But if it's going to be one question, and I have regulated the room up to the point where I tell them specifically, is one question, and then I'm really good, and I keep answering questions, because I feel like my heart has to be, committed to it. So I kind of like get drained out of it because I'm not getting any satisfaction out of it, and they're not getting all the answers that they want. So I have my ups and downs with it yet. Still working on how to elaborate. So I try to make my own show kind of like, okay, so tonight, everybody be quiet. I'm gonna do this. Let's try if we can, connect with the spirits. See what answers we can get. If I see 3 people online, I start slowly. If I pick up something from you, that means that the people is trying to talk to you, or the cards are trying to talk to you through a pendulum. So it's a little bit more different than the other shows that other people are showing that just drawing in cards to everybody.
It's just amazing that we're all doing our things and growing and really trying to involve the community, because that's really what it comes back to. Is really just involving everybody and spreading this gnosis, spreading this knowledge, helping as we possibly can in all our different facets.
And it inspires me. Like whenever I get my door is always open. I do paid consultations and stuff, but just message me. I do a lot of pro bono stuff. I do a lot of stuff like that. Message me if you have a question. And that's, I think, what we all kind of have that attitude to a certain degree. Some people's time is more limited, but I'm inspired when someone asks me a question that's a legitimate question. Don't ask me like, I have a bump on my forehead. Am I a unicorn? I don't like those kind of weird off the wall questions, but and you do get stuff like that, by the way, guys, when you put yourself out there.
Yes, you do.
When it's a serious, good question, I don't care if it's a basic question. It inspires me because it tells me what people want to know about, and it helps me to focus my attention on what to write about, what to do videos about. And it helps me because I don't know everything. It gives me things to research sometimes. So, in fact, I'm one of the ones who probably knows the least out of all of us. I probably know the least technically. Yes, I do landscaping, actually, sort of. I work at a nursery, Darius. Sorry, it's a random question, but so this is it's one of those things where it inspires me to learn, and I know that we all just get really excited when we have a legitimate person saying, you help me to connect with the spirit, or you help me to figure something out I didn't understand. And when I see that, like that's a better compliment than, oh, you're the best, or oh, this. When someone says, because of you I achieved, I go, yes, that's what I'm doing this for. Right. Yeah. So, Waylon, I think we're at that point. What do we usually do when we're ready to call it a night?
Until next time, peace, blessings, and power.
Oh, yeah. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.